Welcome inside the Orleans Arena here in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. It's the 2026 Women's Basketball Tournament here in the West Coast Conference. Washington State, the 9 seed, taking on the 8 seed Pacific Tigers. They just had the national anthem wrap up and starting lineups being brought your way. But first, Josiah, just briefly for our new audience after our technical difficulties, we are back in the keys to the game. Just quickly run through exactly what you're looking for the Cougars in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's three things that are extreme importance for the Cougs. Everyone needs to get involved on the stat sheet. The leading scorer, she's averaging around 16 points a game, and it can't just be her getting it done on the offensive end. So everyone on the stat sheet has to get involved, especially offensively. And then you got to keep on winning. The Cougs are at 3-game win streak, and they need to continue that if they want a chance at the big dance. Right now for the Cougs, it's really that or bust. If they continue to win the WCC tournament, it's their only shot for postseason play after this conference tournament. And I think Limit Bartholomew, their leading scorer, coming off of the bench. And so really shutting down her early will be very crucial. See if we can get another 22 performance like we did last night against Seattle U. So we will see how the Cougs can kind of handle up here as we're about to get underway here in beautiful Las Vegas.
Look at the starters for the Pacific Tigers. Stella Sabo, Sophia Minderman, Marina Ratikai, Sydney Ward, and Daria Nestorov. It's the starting 5 that played in their last regular season game against San Diego. They're on a 3-game losing streak coming in, and the Star Watch is a player off the bench, Josiah, with Winter Bartholomew. We just talked about her. She's an honorable mention all-WCC player, averaging 13 points in WCC play and 13 overall in the season, but slightly more in WCC play than in the regular season. And for the Washington State Cougs, it is their starting lineup is regular. But we get ready to roll. It's Chatfield, Koval, Abraham, Villa, and Valenchik for the Washington State Cougars. Ready to get underway. They're wearing the road gray uniforms with pink accents. Pacific in the home white uniforms with the orange accents. Cougars moving from right to the left basket. They win the opening tip back to Vila, and we are underway in the second round of the women's basketball tournament here in Las Vegas. Vila on the left side gets a screen at the top from Colville. Still with it, looking to the top of the key for Chatfield. Enter inside for Valenchik, and she turns it over.
Yeah, and just kind of an early, kind of bad turnover. The Cougs really have to narrow in on taking care of the basketball. The basketball's the most important thing, which sounds easy enough, but really making sure those turnovers do not rack up.
The 5'4" point guard, Daria Nestorov, gets in the scoring column early, and she puts in a mid-range jumper, and it's 2-0 Pacific over Washington State. Abraham, top of the key, driving left hand towards the cup, scooping it up, misses a layup. Ratikai gets the rebound for Pacific, and she's a 6-foot guard, slightly undersized. She plays in the forward position. She drives in, dumps it down to Sydney Ward, who lays it up and in. And it's 4-0 Pacific. Just about in. Chatfield underneath, hangs in the air, kicks it out to Abraham, dumps it inside to Colville, and she will swing it out for Villa to reset the offense at the top. Drives inside, triple teamed. Ward got a piece of it, and it goes into Nestorov's hands. Still 4-0 Pacific, but they're running well. Ratikai down low against them. Pump and drive inside, and that gets slightly blocked. Chatfield might have got it with her face, and she's down behind the play. And she's holding her upper body towards her nose. 8:20 on the clock, 4-0 Pacific with Chatfield down on the right corner.
Yeah, and a very quick series of plays for both teams, kind of tempo-wise. Both teams kind of running and gunning as Chatfield still kneeling. Kind of at the right baseline, closest to us. Yeah, it looks like probably poked in the nose a little bit, yeah.
In the early going, Pacific leads at 4-0, but Ratikai, again, correct from earlier. She's 6'3", and Sydney Ward, the 6-foot guard. Radikai still listed as a guard, even though she is 6'3", and she's going to be battling against inside that time. She got towards the middle and went up with the shot, and she might have just contact field.
Yeah, definitely got bunked for sure. And looks like head coach Cammie Etheridge, it's her 8th season here at WSU. And see if we're going to get maybe a foul call. It looks like officials are going to go to the monitors, check it out, and see if they're going to get it reviewed and looked at.
Well, as the officials review this play, we'll step away. 8:20 on the clock in the first quarter. Pacific leads it 4-0 over Washington State. You're listening to KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse. Welcome back inside Orleans Arena. Washington State down by 4 with 8:20 left in the first quarter. They just had an unsuccessful appeal after Chatfield got contacted in the head and neck area. She was holding her nose after Radikai went up with a shot, and Etheridge appealed it, said there's probably a flagrant foul on that play, and then they went to review it, and they decided that there was not a flagrant foul, so Washington State has been charged a 30-second timeout.
Yeah, really unfortunate series of events to start off the game early. Down only 4-0, and that's just a couple buckets to get right back in it. But the pace of game is extremely fast, and it kind of looks like WSU right now is catching up instead of kind of keeping with the pace. So we'll see if who can kind of knock in the first one for the Cougs, settle the nerves a little bit and see if we can actually kind of start playing basketball.
Yeah. 2 players have scored, Sydney Ward and Dahlia Nestorov for Pacific, each having 2 points so far. Washington State really nothing doing. They don't really have that many possessions so far. It's only a minute and 40 seconds into this ball game, and we're already in a long delay. But for Washington State, they seem a little bit panicked on the offensive side, not a lot of rhythm, and they don't have any points to show for it.
Yeah, panic is a perfect word for that. And I feel like then on the defensive side, they're kind of catching up as the Tigers of Pacific. They're kind of getting to the races and finishing on the other end. So, yeah, let's just see who, for the Cougs, kind of started off early, kind of still them.
They come off that win yesterday in a big way against Seattle U, and then now you need to go. Didn't really even. State will get ready to inbound the ball after the unsuccessful appeal. Chatfield still remains on the bench. It'll be Martha Alcina who comes in. And we're back underway with Washington State in the front court now, attacking the left basket. They go down low to Colville, who bodies against Radikai. It's an offensive foul on Alex Colville.
Yeah, and there was a lot of contact kind of with both players, but unfortunately, Radikai moving Colville getting called for the offensive push.
4-0, Pacific leads it 2 minutes into the first quarter. Top of the arc, Sophia Minderman, a good three-point shooter for the Tigers. We're in the home whites on the far side. Minderman bodied and a foul called on Vonchik.
Yeah, and Tanya Volanchik, a very physical player. As a freshman. She's done a really good job starting a lot of games this year, though struggling, but has been really good defensively, but sometimes a little too physical right there for that foul.
Keandra Kouris comes in for the Cougars. The two starters already to the bench for Washington State. In the corner, Nestorov three-pointer, too strong. Offensive rebound pulled down by Stella Sabo. Nestorov, the 5'4" point guard, ducks inside against the trees, and she has to kick it out. Sydney Ward ends up with it on the left block. Left-hand layup will not go. Colville rebound for the Cougars. They push the pace. Still a 4-0 lead for Pacific. 7:23 remaining first quarter. Villa, good back cut. And Villa lays it in with the right hand on the left side, and that's the first bucket of the second round for Washington State is Eleonora Villa. And a foul called at half court as Minderman went to go grab it, and Charlotte Abraham contacted her in a foul way out by midcourt.
Yeah, and already the Cougs racking up 3 quick ones. Colville getting the first, and then Volanchik, Abraham. Would not like to see the Cougs getting into foul trouble early. That could be a huge factor.
Sabo to inbound to the top of the key with Nestorov. Game is Winter Bartholomew. She's got the rock at the free throw line, attacking Colville. Spins away, fade away, jumper will not drop, but an offensive rebound by Ward, and then she got pushed to the ground immediately. And that foul on Abraham, that's her second in less than 20 seconds, so she'll head to the bench. And Chatfield, the good sign, will come back in.
Yeah, and good to see Chatfield being okay.
That's 2 fouls on Abraham, so she'll head to the bench. Inbound for the Tigers on the right side. Minderman, three-pointer, too strong, and a rebound for Pacific. And then knocked away and out of bounds. It'll go to Washington State.
Yeah, 4 quick ones is not what you want to see as we're just not even midway through this first quarter.
6:45 showing on the clock in the first quarter, and Pacific nearly in the bonus here in the first quarter. Vila way outside, holding the ball at her waist. Drives in, dumps it off to Colville. Left-hand layup, and one for Colville. And Washington State ties it up 4 apiece. So low-scoring start, but it is tied at 4 apiece with 6:32 left in the first quarter, and Colville will have a chance for a three-point play.
Yeah, and I really want to highlight Vila and Colville. They play so well off the pick and roll. Colville standing at 6'6", and Eleonora Vila, she's standing around 5'7". They're actually very good friends outside of basketball as well as roommates, but they play really well off the pick and roll as Colville drops a free throw in.
Washington State takes the lead 5-4, their first lead of the contest here in the second round. This is Pacific's first game of the tournament. Washington State played yesterday at noon. So just about 24 hours ago, they tipped off against Seattle U, and here they are again in their second game in as many days. Pacific with 10 to shoot. Nestorov on the left side will pull up from the mid-range. That'll roll out, and it's last touched by Pacific. And it's going to go to Washington State. So about 4 minutes in. That'll take Sabo out as a sub comes in. It's Nia Lowry coming in for Pacific. 5-4 over Pacific. Stark gets a double screen, and they roll it for Kouris. Her three-pointer off the right side of the iron, and a rebound for Lowry. They push the pace to the other side in the front court. Nestorov, who's been the orchestrator on offense so far for Pacific, she's got the rock. And she looks to the left side for Minderman. Bounce pass to the top of the key for Lucia Anderegg, who also came in at that last dead ball. And a whistle blown, 3 in the key called on Bartholomew down low off the ball, and it's going to be a turnover on Pacific going back to the Cougs.
Yeah, and a great defensive set for the Cougs right now. The Tigers right now are 0 of the last 6, and they haven't scored a buck in the last 3.5 minutes. So it looks like the momentum has changed a little bit for the Cougs in their gray and pink jerseys.
Yeah, Cougs on a 5-0 run. 5:20 remaining in the first quarter. Both teams settling into this one. Their first game of 4 here today in Orleans Arena. Vila left side gets on a dribble drive, lays it in, and it rolls down. Washington State goes up 7-4. Great move by Vila to get past Lowry. Pacific back to work on offense. Liv Jorgensen fresh into the game for the Tigers. Kicks it out to Anderegg, her three-pointer. That won't drop, and Kuritz gets the rebound, and a foul is going to be called on Pacific.
Yeah, what a great job of boxing out and just grabbing the rebound. Being physical is super key, but you got to go after the basketball. And a great job by Kendra Kuritz kind of getting down there, boxing out, making sure to get it done on the defensive end.
Molly Rude checking in for Scoville. As Alcina will bring it up the left side of the floor, looking to get it to Vila, but she's walled off by Lowry. To the left side with Rude in the short corner. Dribble drive to the center. Backdoor cut from Chatfield, and the pass goes wayward, but it was tipped out of bounds. Last touched by Amir Cole Laban for Pacific. (7-4) Washington State lead. 4:23 remaining first quarter. Inbound to Vila. Guarded by Lowry. She spins and turns back towards the middle. Kicks it out in the corner. Kuritz three-pointer on the way. Off the back of the rim. And an offensive rebound. Inside for Chatfield. Gives it up to Rude. Her shot no good. Chatfield another offensive rebound. Washington State another great chance on this possession. 4 minutes left first quarter. They lead it by 3. Kuritz spins inside. Fade is good.
What a great just nonstop of effort from Mackenzie Chatfield. 2 great rebounds that led to a great bucket.
After started down 4-0, Washington State on a 9-0 run over the last couple of minutes. They lead it 9-4, 3:40 remaining in the first quarter. Jorgensen with a left-hand floater from about 8 feet, and she knocks it down. The first bucket since it was 4-0 for Pacific. Alcina crossover at the free throw line, turns it over, and this is Anderegg going the other way. Kicks it outside for Lowry, who drives in, has it stripped by Chatfield, who is just hustling all over the place in this first quarter. Washington State ends up with it. Lob it inside to Kuritz. She turns left-hand layup wide open, and it goes in. Easy money for the Cougars. They lead it 11-6. It's a timeout called by Pacific with 3:08 remaining in the first quarter.
Yeah, and that's a great display of not only on the offensive side, but I feel like effort right there. There was a ton of effort plays, either second chance points, getting offensive rebounds, diving for loose balls, getting defensive rebounds. I think it was just a great display of effort. And right now, the Cougs up 11-6 when they were down 0-4.
Washington State leads it by 5, 11-6 over Pacific. 3:08 remaining in the first quarter. We'll be back after this break. You're listening to KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse. So a technical foul was assessed on the Tigers and their bench, I believe, as Vila heads to the free throw line right after the break. So it was 11-6 going into the timeout. And Vila goes 2 for 2 at the free throw line.
Yeah, and it looked to be on a Pacific coach technical, so don't know from who on the sidelines. But yeah, unfortunate for the Tigers. Sidelines chirping, yeah.
Bradley Smart was looking early at the officials during the break, and they call a technical on him. So that's 2 free points for Washington State. Vila gets the inbound right off that free throw trip, and then she lobs it off the backboard for Chatfield, and they crash into the media table, and crowd mics fly all over the place as Colville will get back on defense as she's fresh into the game after Rude will head to the bench during that timeout. So Pacific, they've gone cold since that good start where they went up 4-0. Sydney Ward out to Nesterov, 5'4" point guard, working against Ellie Vila. And the jumper will not drop, and it goes out of bounds. Last touched inside by LaMiracle, and it's going out of bounds to Washington State. Pacific putting on some full court pressure. .220 remaining first quarter. Alcina over half court. Gives it to Vila, the superstar, second team all WCC player, the only player for the Cougars to be recognized on the all-conference team after they went 7-24 in the regular season, but 6-12 in conference play. Chatfield gets the pass, kick to the corner for Alcina, left side, 5 to shoot for the Cougars. Gives it to Chatfield in the middle, a jab and a drive to the right-hand side. She lays it in. And it's a 15-6 lead for the Cougars. Slow start, but a strong finish to this first quarter. Ward will drive left hand. She gets fouled, and another foul on the Cougars. A push called.
Yeah, and that is the 5th team foul for the Cougs right now. Looked to be the foul. I thought it was before the shot. It looked like Colville did block it cleanly, but regardless, they're going to give her 2 free throws for Ward.
Yeah, so that foul called on Chatfield. That was her first personal foul. That puts Pacific in the bonus. And they missed the first free throw. So Sydney Ward starts 0 for 1 from the charity stripe. Minute 48 remaining first quarter. Washington State up 15-6. Second free throw no good as well. So an 0 for trip. The 5th team foul on Washington State. They had 4 in the first couple minutes, and then they've really quieted off on the defensive side of hacking the Tigers. And up by 9, 15 to shoot. In the corner, Alcina pump fake looking for Colville. Instead goes cross court for Kuritz. Drives inside with a left hand push shot. That drops in off the front of the rim and then down. An 11-point lead, their largest of the quarter, and an over and back call as Ward never established herself. Nesterov kind of nonchalantly lobbed it to her at half court, and a turnover on Pacific. And the Cougars have kind of rattled the Tigers here in the first quarter.
Rattled indeed, and yeah, carry call, that's something you don't see. And Sydney Ward, one of their best players, the 6-foot guard, that's not something you see usually from a guard, kind of palming the ball like that, flipping it over. So the Cougs are doing great to start out this game.
So Vila on the right side, Washington State up by 11. They look inside for Koval. They bounce pass it to her on the block on the far side. Kick it out to Kuritz, and a shot clock violation. They took all the time and didn't get a shot off. And a turnover for Washington State with 59.3 on the clock in the first quarter. They lead at 17-6.
Yeah, I think there has to be a lot of awareness on timing clock situations like there.
Ward will try from way downtown, and that's no good. An offensive rebound, though, for Nesterov. The smallest player on the court picks it up and scoops it over the 6'6" Colville. Makes it 17-8, a lead for Washington State. 38 seconds remaining first quarter. Inside Vila with a nice floater from about 4 feet. Somehow she got all alone on the inside, and they go back up 11. 19-8 advantage Cougs with 23 seconds remaining in the first frame. Nesterov directing traffic, picked up by Alcina at the top of the arc, asking for a screen. She goes left side, picked up by the 6'6" Koval, and an offensive foul on an illegal screen. Pacific, another turnover.
Yeah, the Cougs right now really heating up on both ends of the floor and just playing great basketball as Rude and Lauren Glazier will check in, the 2 Washingtonian athletes from Washington State. But yeah, great job on both ends of the floor for the Cougs.
14 seconds remaining. Shot clock is off for Washington State. They lead 19-8. Chatfield to Vila between the circles. 4 seconds to shoot. Gets a screen from Rude. Right side elbow jumper on the way. Not going to drop. And the buzzer sounds. The first quarter comes to an end. Washington State leads at 19-8 at the end of the first quarter. What a good start for the Cougars, trying to win their second game in as many days. We'll head to the second quarter after this. You're listening to KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse. Washington State leads it 19-8, and they ended the 4 run after dropping the first 4 points to Pacific. They stormed back, and they lead it 19-8. Davis Hagen alongside Josiah Frank here in Orleans Arena in Las Vegas for the WCC tournament on the women's side of things, starting here in the early afternoon. And Josiah, we were talking about this in the pregame, and Washington State's record, they're 8-24 now after the win yesterday, but they went 6-12 in conference, and they're the number 9 seed, but this team doesn't play like a 9 seed.
They definitely don't play like a 9 seed at all. If you had watched every game, there are quite a few either buzzer beaters or very narrow games that the Cougs just kind of lost just about all of them. And so, unfortunately, that record does not show that this is a very talented team, a team that had a ton of potential, and kind of in the preseason polls, had WSU kind of being like 3rd in the conference, if I'm pretty sure. And so, unfortunately, it did not work like that as the season has progressed. But tons of potential, especially with Colville. You got Vila, and then a lot of new players from the freshman and sophomore classes. And so this is a very exciting team, but, man, they just really had not had the best of luck at all. So today's kind of showing it right now. A great start to that first quarter, 19-8, as Washington State's leading. So we'll see if it can continue here in the second quarter.
Ten minutes on the clock. Pacific ready to inbound it. We're in the home white uniforms as the higher seed in this second round matchup of the WCC tournament. And we're underway in the second quarter. They attack the right basket. Outside with Sophia Minderman. Neither team made a three-pointer in that first quarter. Radikai back in. Dumps it down to Sydney Ward. Poked away by Glazier into the hands of Vila. Lauren Glazier, valuable minutes for Washington State. Chatfield left side gets a screen from Kuritz, who had 6 points in the first quarter. Chatfield into the middle. Floater drops in a couple times on the rim and then drops right through the twine. 21-8 lead for Washington State. They are playing red hot basketball here in March. on a 3-game win streak coming in and playing excellent teamwork basketball here in this first half. Nestorov, short corner jumper, too strong. Glazier just reaches up and snares it with the right hand. Great rebound for the 6'4" forward, the senior Glazier, who started her career at Washington State, then transferred to Pacific, and then went back to the Cougars. They dump it inside. Davila, left-hand layup, and she has just been wide open all game long and makes it 23-8.
That's her 10th point. She's nearly in she is in double digits with that basket.
And she had 8 in the first quarter. She averages about 16 per game. Second team all WCC player. She's a superstar for Washington State out of Italy. And a whistle blown and a foul called on Washington State. So that'll take Vila out. And it'll be a Alcina coming in. Inbound to Sabo, far side three-pointer. She misses everything, and it goes out of bounds. And they will say it's last touch by Washington State. They couldn't corral the rebound. And Washington State wants them to take a look at it. And so Etheridge going to challenge. She appealed earlier, which is different than a challenge. You can a flagrant foul. She appealed the flagrant earlier when she got contacted in the head. And they were charged the timeout, and now they're looking at this one. And we're still in the first half, 8:23 in the second quarter. Washington State up 23-8, but every possession valuable, especially if you can get this one and go up almost 20 points.
Yeah, extremely valuable. And the Cougs yesterday, that was the kind of story with Seattle U. They were really up for majority of that game by nearly 20 points, if not more. Ended up winning by 22 points, which we have not seen from WSU this season at all, especially not a commanding win like that. But they've definitely gotten the most of their wins in the latter half of the season, and they're continuing to be red hot as they are right now. 23-8, a phenomenal start for Washington State.
And when you look at the beginning of this game, it was low for Washington State. They were down 4-0. There was 4 quick fouls, 2 of them coming on Charlotte Abraham. But since that point, really after that review on Chatfield, and she kind of got people fired up after she went to the bench, they were holding her nose. She coming kind of woken up, and now they're pouncing on the Tigers.
Yeah, they are. And yeah, just a great show of effort. Right now, though, offensively, they're shooting 59% from the field, which is great. Have not shot one, have not made a three-point attempt, only shot once from behind the arc, which is kind of unnatural for the Cougs. But whatever they're doing, it's working. And, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And 12 rebounds for the Cougs. They're just doing a great job when it comes to hustle, when it comes to effort. They are continuing to get it done, and that's why they're up right now by nearly 20 points.
Yeah, the Cougars' leading scorer, Ellie Vila, she's got 10. She averages about 16, and she's almost there to her average, and there's still 8:23 left in this second quarter, and she's definitely going to break her average here today. She's been such a great player for Washington State all season long, and especially going back the last couple of years, she's been one of the leaders, and she decides to stay this year. Hasn't necessarily gone their way in the regular season, but once you start tournament play, anything can happen, and they win yesterday, and now they have a chance to go out and win their 4th in a row.
Yeah. And stuff like this happens in March. Like we like to talk about, we like to joke about it, but it really is true. If you continue to win, man, I mean, really the sky's the limit, and it's hard to stop teams that are on a roll, especially in March. And we were here last year calling a lot more WCC basketball. State on the women's side had a phenomenal run. I believe they were ranked probably 6th in the tournament, ended up winning it all the way, and had 2 very close games, one of them being a buzzer beater to knock off some really good teams. Portland was one of them. Gonzaga had a really good team that year, and it didn't matter because Oregon State went to the big dance. So anything can happen here, and some magic really does happen here in Las Vegas in March. So we'll see if the Cougs can continue, kind of get it done, and continue to keep the streak going.
And we remind you of what's at stake for Washington State. A lose and your season is over. You win and you play tomorrow at noon again against the number 5 seed Portland Pilots, who are having one of their worst seasons in the last couple of years. They are normally in the top 3 of the conference. This year, number 5 after being the 1 seed last year. And back underway, Alcina will try to fire it to Chatfield, and she turns it over. She threw it behind Chatfield, who was right at the half-court stripe, and it goes out of bounds on the far side. So right after that timeout, they come out and turn it over. So Pacific will get possession back. Nestorov at the WCC logo in the middle. She slips as she was dribbling, and a jump ball is called as Alcina went to grab it on the ground. So possession arrow favoring Washington State. And so it'll be Cougar basketball.
That's what I'm talking about, those hustle plays. It is continued to work out for the Cougs. When you work hard, good things just kind of happen.
Chatfield brings it over half court to Glazier at the left high post. Driving inside, gets past Minderman, and she lays it in with the right hand. 25-8 lead for Washington State. They're in a 25-4 run since the start, about the middle of the court, that media timeout. They've been ridiculously efficient. Nestorov, left side with the right hand. She floats it in. Nestorov is an extremely athletic point guard for Pacific. Listed at just 5'4", but she's a firecracker. So it's 25-10. First points of the quarter for Pacific. We've got 7:15 left in the quarter. Field on the right side, gets a screen from Rude. Backing down Nestorov, will get to the middle, put up a floater off the backboard and the rim, and it goes to Pacific. They outlet it. This is Sabo. And the ball is deflected, and it will end back to the point guard, Nestorov. Couple Cougars ready to come in. Firing a three. That's off the front of the iron, and Koval and Vila waiting to come in. Two of Washington State's best players. Kuritz left side. She gets the screen from Rude, and this action has worked all game long. Kuritz to the right side, fouled, and she missed the shot, but she'll have 2 free throws coming up.
Yeah, and just extremely efficient for the Cougs. Up by 15 right now, but it almost seems like more as Colville and Vila will check back in, and they'll probably add to the total for Washington State. But yeah, just playing red hot is a perfect description for the Cougs.
Rude heads out, Colville in. Vila will come in for the shooter, Kuritz, if she's able to make the second free throw. Her first one drops in. Makes it 26-10 with 6.5 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Second free throw good for Kuritz, and that will send her to the bench for Vila coming back in. They lead it by 17.
Yeah, and she's got 8 again, and it's still very early for her. And she's not even averaging double digits, but had a double-digit performance yesterday as well.
This is Lowry on the outside. Gives it to Ward at the top. Accelerates inside. Up and under move against Colville, and a whistle blown, a foul. Missed the shot, though. So she'll have 2 free throws after Kuritz 2 went in. Now we'll have more free throws on the right side of the court. That's the second foul on Colville, the 6'6" center wearing the protective mask on her face after she was contacted earlier in the season. She's had unfortunate luck with injuries and fouls, and she goes to the bench with 2 fouls as Rude comes back in. You've got Glazier to come in for Colville. And it's interesting to say what's so positive about this team. And you say, oh, what's wrong with the Cougs? They've won only 7 games all year. But as you said earlier, this team has played such good basketball. You don't always win games when you're playing well, and that's the unfortunate part about basketball. But the great part is that you win your turn games, all of a sudden you become a different team.
Yeah, that's what extremely matters. It takes me back. They had a BYU game, and BYU was ranked around 10 or 12th in the nation. Lost on a buzzer beater when the Cougs were up by 1. And that's just kind of the tail of the season. It has really struggled for them.
So Ward drops in both free throws, and the Cougars go back to work on offense. Chatfield looking for Rude on the right side. Gives it to her. And then an extra swing to the left side for Kick it out. Glazier, top of the key, three-pointer off the left side. And a rebound for the Tigers with 5:45 remaining in the first half. Minderman outside. She's really yet to get going. Same with Radikai. She's got the ball on the right side, looking for a backdoor cut. Has to pull hand off to Jurgensen. A give and go to Radikai. Spin move. Missed it. Rude with the great rebound after a nice block out on the Miracle Laban. Alcina accelerates over half court. So Washington State up 27-12. 5:15 remaining in the first half. Surveying the perimeter. Vila, left side three-pointer. Bang! Gives the Cougs 30. And Vila is just on fire to start this one. 5 minutes remaining. Vila up to 13 points after that three-pointer. Jurgensen struggling to dribble against Alcina. She picks up. Shoot for Pacific. Dribble handoff to Minderman. Step on the way. Too strong. Battle for the rebound. Lowry collects it, and a whistle blown and a foul on the rebound. Chatfield pleading her case. That's going to go against Mackenzie Chatfield.
Yeah, I thought that was a great box out by Chatfield, but clearly there was a foul on the ground. But I wanted to highlight Lauren Glazier, some really valuable minutes. She had a really good bucket, a couple really good rebounds, and some good defensive plays.
And a quick inbound to the left block. Miracle Laban lays it in. There was no defense on her at all. And it makes it 30-14. So the biggest lead of the game, 18 for Washington State. They only lead 16 now. Vila, runner on the right side, missed it. A bit too much mustard on it. An excellent pass from Nestorov to a wide open Sabo, who blew the layup, and then a battle for the rebound and a jump ball called arrow favoring Pacific. But Nestorov was at midcourt, and she threaded the needle all the way down to the block where Sabo caught it. That was one of the best passes I've seen. We had a great angle of it, just zipping straight down to the block.
Yeah, that was a BB right to her, and just maybe a fingertip away from Rude's finger. Goodness gracious, what a pass.
But then the missed layup from Sabo. They get it back, though, on the jump ball. She gets the inbound, does Sabo, and a foul called again on Washington State. They are reaching on almost every drive for Pacific, and that one called. See exactly who that was on. That was on Martha Alcina. And so it'll be 30-14. Nestorov to check it in. Goes way outside for Lowry at the edge of that WCC logo. Attacking the right basket. Kick it out to Nestorov, directing the traffic. Picked up. And a jumper is good. It was a high arcing shot from the left elbow as Alcina backed off of her off that screen. And it makes it 30-16. 3:45 remaining first half. Chatfield on the right side. She picks up her dribble and spins inside. A fadeaway, awkward shot. She missed everything, wanted a foul, didn't get one, and it's going back to Pacific.
Yeah, and a lot of Coug fans really unhappy about the no call there. And I think there was kind of contact on both sides trying to get up a shot.
30-16, Washington State in front, 3:30 remaining in the half. Lowry, deep three-pointer, bounces off the rim a couple times, and Rude gets the rebound. Approaching 3 minutes to play in the first half. Cougars trying to advance to the third round. Vila, kick it out. Valancic to Alcina at the top. They move around the perimeter. Good ball movement in this first half from the Cougars. In the corner, Valancic, left-hand three-pointer, no. And that goes out of bounds. Nobody touched it, and it's going to Pacific.
Yeah, great job of just moving the basketball around the perimeter and kind of getting, sometimes they'll go in, sometimes they won't. But it's which happened right there.
Once again, Nestorov, the orange, working against Vila this time. Mid-range jumper too strong. Gets her own miss, reverse layup inside, won't drop, and then Volanchik gets the rebound. Outlet pass to Kuritz running the floor. All by herself, the right-hand layup is good, and it's 32-16. Nesterov has a couple offensive rebounds in this game, listed at just 5'4". And somehow she's been scrapping on the inside, and an off-ball whistle called and another foul on the Cougars.
Yeah, and it really looks like fouls are going to be the most important thing in this basketball game for the Cougs. If they continue to get it done on the offensive side, you know, the game can still stay out of reach, but fouls is the only thing that could get in the way of that right now. Cougs still racking them up. 5 team fouls in this quarter.
So Pacific in the bonus the rest of the half with 2:25 on the clock. This is Stella Sabo missing the first. Sabo just a 58% free throw shooter on the season, and she misses both there, but another offensive rebound for Nesterov, and she kicks it out to Sabo, who misses a 3, so she just can't buy a bucket at this point. Rude got the rebound, and she was harassed by a couple of Pacific Tigers, and she gets fouled.
Yeah, I want to say it was Lowry that got called for it. Great job for the Cougs, not giving up on the play, even when Pacific grabbing that offensive board, putting up a 3. Rude did a great job boxing out the defensive rebound, and then got called for the foul.
Full court pressure from Pacific. Alcina at half court, splits the double team, gets inside, and will settle things back out for Vila. Top of the key. She'll launch the 3 and roll it in. Vila, 16 points right at her average. 2 minutes to go until halftime. She is feeling good here on the second day of the tournament. And a 35 advantage for the Cougars. Minderman in the corner. Going against Volanchik. Out to Nesterov on the right side, looking for a screen. Ward comes to give it to her. She goes right off the pick into the paint. Kick it to Radikai behind the defense. The layup, but a foul called again on Washington State. That's on Kuritz.
And 16 points in the fight. A great job and a great performance for her. She's averaging 16 on the year.
So Radikai misses the free throw, the junior from Richmond, Canada. She's got a season-high 12 points against Seattle U in conference play. Radikai, no points so far after she missed her first free throw. Minute 33 on the clock, her second free throw on the way, and a lane violation on the shot. And so Pacific will be stuck at 16 points still, as no points come from that possession. And a substitute coming in, Lauren Glazier in, Kuritz to the bench. What a great effort by Washington State. After a little bit of a slow start, started out 4-0 in favor of Pacific. And now they're up 35-16. Vila inside to Glazier, hangs in the air, misses the layup. It was a great look on the pick and roll, but they couldn't capitalize. Minute 15 to go. Radikai, short corner, kick it top of the key. Sydney Ward will launch the 3, and she just rushed that shot. Misses everything, and it's going back to Washington State. She was open, but you could see as soon as she let it go that she just rushed that shot. And an offensive foul called on Washington State on the inbound as Vila was trying to get free against Lowry. She pushes off, and they call a foul on Vila. That's her second foul. To the offensive foul, it will not put minute 4 remaining in the quarter. Minderman drives in, whistle blown, another foul on the Cougars. This time it's Alcina, and that's got to be the talking point at halftime. These whistles going against Washington State, they're going to run out of players if they keep this up.
Yeah, and it could be a very... There's still an entire half of basketball to play and way too many fouls early into this game.
So Minderman to the free throw line. She puts in the first. Minderman, a freshman from Folsom, California, goes 2 for 2 at the free throw line.
6 players with 2 fouls in the basketball game. 7 with Chorus's second.
And we still got another 20 to play after these final 50 seconds of this half. Going to be a challenge for sure for Washington State, but they've built up a nice lead. Chatfield on the offensive side looking to add to the lead before halftime. Goes to Rude, right block, layup is good. And it's 37-18. They close to going up by 20. And another offensive foul on Pacific this time. As the whistle's blown on an illegal screen. And Lowry will pick it up. Just the third team foul. So about 5.5 second differential between the game clock and the shot clock. Chatfield holding the ball at the top, slowly dribbling it between her legs. Waiting for the final couple seconds of this possession to start attacking. They lead at 37-18, 15 seconds left in the half. Chatfield still dribbling the ball. Pull-up jumper from the mid-range, too strong. Rebound, fought for. Rude picks it up. Tries to go back up, loses it, and Radikai will outlet to Nestorov. Runner from about half court will not go. It hits off the backboard and the rim. Nestorov almost got it, but Washington State off to a great start here in the first. Lead at 37-18 over the Pacific Tigers. The 9-seed Cougs trying to pick up the second win in as many days after beating Seattle U in the first round. Here in the second round, after that little bit of a slow start, they really put the pedal to the metal, and they're up 37-18 at the half. Josiah fouls, huge issue, and I imagine that's what Etheridge has got to be talking about in the locker room.
Yeah, we got 2 tremendous storylines right now on the offensive end, but when it comes to defensive basketball, they are racking up way too many fouls right now. And I believe we have Vila at 2 fouls, Chatfield at 2, Berlanchik at 1, Abraham at 2, Colville at 2, Alcina at 2, Chorus at 2. And besides Lauren Glazier and Malia Rude, nearly everyone that has checked into the basketball game has 2 fouls. And that is way too many. 13 total team fouls the first half alone. There's teams that don't hit that in a full game total. So the Cougs need to stop playing that type of physical basketball. It's a really good that they're being aggressive, playing with a lot of effort, and I think that's a great thing. And that shows right now as they're up by nearly 20 points, 19 to be exact. But the Cougs have got to slow down with the hand checks, with the pushing, with not boxing out correctly. It has got to stop this lead and have a little bit of a buffer and hopefully close out this game in the second.
Largest lead of the game so far for Washington State is 19, where they sit right now. They're up 37-18 as we've hit the half here at Orleans Arena between Washington State and Pacific. Coming up after halftime, Josiah Frank will have the play-by-play in the second half. Cougars looking to survive and advance against the Tigers. You're listening to KUGR, the student voice of the Palouse.
Welcome back here to Orleans Arena, Las Vegas, Nevada. Josiah Frank with the great Davis Hagen. We're here commenting on some women's basketball here for the Washington State Cougars right now. Getting back to this game right now, the Cougs are leading by 19, a 37-18 ball game, as we're just 2 minutes until we will start the second half of the game. But Davis, fouls, and more fouls. That was the story for Washington State, racking up a total of 13 total team fouls right now. So a struggle in the first half when it came to fouling. How much of that will be a factor for the second half of the game?
I think it's a huge factor depending on who picks up those fouls. Vila, she's got 2, and Koval's got 2. If some of these players that are the regular starters start to pick up some of these, third or fourth personal fouls, how much does Etheridge sit them on the bench? That's going to be a big factor because Vila's got 16 points to lead the way for Washington State. She almost had the same amount as Pacific did as an entire team in that first half. So if your star players start to pick up fouls, how do you balance playing them but also keeping them in the game later when it might matter more if Pacific goes on a run? So definitely keeping the players in. Free throws is one thing to get Pacific slightly more eligible to come back in this game if the clock is stopped. But if you have your star players out of the game, that's really when they're going to come back, because they're not necessarily a great free throw shooting team, Pacific. They are a 77% free throw shooting team, which is near the top of the conference. But WCC as a whole teams are under 80% free throw shooting, so it's not exactly what's going to get them back in the game. But what will get them back in the game is not having Vila or Colville out there.
Exactly. And talking about Vila right now, she had 16 points in the first half. She is averaging 16. So just in a half of basketball, she's on pace to double her average on close to like 30-plus points. How much of a factor do you think she can have in this game in the second half? And do you think we could see an all-star performance from Vila, maybe even a career high? We're lucky to see.
Yeah, Vila's been a sensation to watch all season long for the Cougars, and especially in this tournament. She had an amazing game against Seattle U, scoring over 20 points, and then again in this first half, 16 points, and she's been just efficient getting to the rim. She's 2 for 2 from the three-point line and hasn't missed a free throw yet in this game. So an incredible performance, yes, in the first half, but really in the second half, this is the question mark for the Cougars. Can they continue to play the way they did? We saw this last year in the Portland game in the semis when they lost and their season went to an end. Against the Pilots, they came out in the second half. They started really slow. So they have to be able to put the pedal to the metal again and pick up right where they left off in that first half.
The Cougs are going to start the half with an offensive basketball. Abraham to inbound, and she'll give it to Chatfield, who just pushed over immediately. A quick foul for the Tigers, and that was Minderman, Sophia Minderman, the California native. Just kind of shoved Mackenzie Chatfield, racking up the first foul for either teams of the second half. Just 2 seconds underway. Now Chatfield will end it up with the Cougs. Hands it off to Villa. Had that amazing first half performance. And an offensive foul, another foul for the Cougs, as it looks to be a moving screen on Alex Colville. She had a beautiful roll, and that was going to be a layup if that offensive foul wasn't called, as she cut right to the basket on that pick and roll.
And that's 3 fouls on Colville, so interesting to see how Etheridge plays it. She's still in the game.
Ward, a quick handoff over to Sabo. Now over to Nesterov. She had some great shots. She'll miss the little midi in the key, as Vila will end up with it for the Cougs. Chatfield to Volanchik. Gives it back to Vila on the right corner. Looking for a screen by Volanchik. Uses it. Gives it to her on the pick and roll. Now Chatfield. 10 on the shot. Abraham throws up a 3. The left iron no good. And the Tigers are running. It's going to be swatted away. It'll be Volanchik that batters it and gets her own steal. Now Abraham thought about another 3. Gives it back to Chatfield to set up the offense for the Cougs. Vila to Colville. She's hacked. She will go to the stripe. Will shoot 2 as she was fouled hard going up on the left side of the basket. 37-18 still. 8:53 left in this third quarter as the Cougs still a commanding lead. Still kind of racking up some of those fouls early into the second half. Colville's first will rattle home. That's just her 4th point today, averaging near 10. She suffered a fractured foot, as her second will also be nothing but nylon. Just her second game during the season early, and that's why the Cougs have struggled when looking at their record. Now Pacific on the other end. Radikai trying to make something happen. She's still got the basketball. No 5-second count, as she was not guarded by Colville. And now it's stolen away by Volanchik again. She's going to go right to the rack in an easy lay with the right hand. And now the Cougs 41-18 over the 20-point mark. Pacific's got to get something going if they want to stay in this game. Radikai to the rack. Finishes with the left hand to keep the Tigers alive. Chatfield now. Guarded by Nesterov. Hands off to Vila. Trying to get something going for the offense. Thought about a shot, doesn't do it. Gets the ball back now to Abraham, to Colville in the post. Stolen away by the tiniest person on the court. That's Nesterov. She's going to kick it out. That's Sabo for a triple air ball. Now Chatfield for the Cougs. Racing up the wood. Back to Abraham to Colville again in the post. This time she will miss the left-handed jump hook. Thought about contact. The officials won't hear it. Now Radikai for the Tigers. And that will be blocked by Colville, but it's Ward getting the rebound, and she will be fouled on the putback. She will go to the line and shoot 2.
And that's 4 fouls on Colville after that swat. She had the initial block, and then she went in and tried to pick up another block, but she came down pretty hard on the shoulders of Ward. And that's 4 fouls on the post for Washington State. But that pace there for the last about a minute and a half, just up and down, back and forth. Not a lot of whistles up until that foul.
Quick basketball as Ward gets ready to shoot her first. Malia Rude, one of the 2 Washingtonian natives, will check into the game. She's been doing very well offensively as a true freshman from the Tri-Cities in Washington State. But yeah, Colville right now, 5 points, 4 fouls. Nearly identical on the box score. Ward's first was good. Her second is also. Rude to inbound for the Cougs. Looking to find someone. We'll give it to Vila. Cougs are going to advance it up the wood. Chatfield now, top of the key. Looking to head coach Etheridge set up an offensive play. Screen by Rude. Chatfield goes straight to the cup and puts that in. It will drop. Cougs right now leading by 21, 6:54 left in this third quarter. The Tigers need to get something going, trying to get anything. There's going to be another foul on the Cougs. And this is going to be on Tanya Volanchik, I think, again, and that is either her third, if not fourth. Oh, no, it looks to be maybe on Abraham was called actually for the foul. That is her fourth personal, though. Lowry now going right to the rack. A little 3-footed jump shot will fall in, cut the Coug lead down to 19. Abraham on the other end, screaming down the court. Stops right behind the arc, gives it right back to Vila. Mano-a-mano with Nesserdorf. Uses the screen by Rude. Thought about the roll, doesn't use it. Abraham thought about a 3. Pulls up the ball, dumps it back in to Chatfield. Nearly loses it. 10 on the shot. Chatfield now trying to get a last shot. Chatfield, jumper. Falls in. And looks to be an offensive foul. Shot won't count. Offensive foul on, couldn't see who it is, but it doesn't matter. Another foul on the Cougs. They've got 4 early into this third. 6 minutes left. Cougs up by 19. Nesterdorf looking for Jurgensen. And yet another foul. That one's going to be on Rude this time. That's going to be her first personal. And now the fans from Washington State, Crimson kind of trickled across the Orleans Arena. And they're not happy about that call. And that's 5 quick ones. And it has been fouls after fouls after foul. 18 personal fouls in this game early. I've never seen anything like it. With that, the Tigers are in bonus. And that's going to be Bartholomew, the leading scorer for the Tigers. Her first one's going to go through with the Tigers being in 1-1. Second one misses. Rude will end up getting the board. Outlet to Chatfield. She'll cross the division line. Gives it to Volanchik. Looking for Vila. Hands it off to her. She almost loses it. Pulls it back out. Dumps it in the Chatfield to Rude. Beautiful basketball. She'll finish with the right-handed lay. Another 2 for the Cougs. Now on the other end, Jurgensen. Back to Nesterdorf. She's going to go right to the rack. All 5-4 of her. Kicks it out to Ward. Triple. That will fall. And now it's a 45-28 game with the Cougs still leading by a lot. 5 minutes left in this third. Vila uses the screen by Rude. Gives it to her. She'll try for the triple. And that one will pair it. Back-to-back threes for both teams as Rude hits in a nice 3. And another foul. Volanchik will have to sit, and she knows it. She's going right over to the scores table. And just a bad foul. Going after a loose basketball. And yet another foul for the Cougs, and I believe that will be her fourth as well. Or third, excuse me. And looking at the stat sheet, Volanchik with 3, Colville with 4, and then nearly 6 players with 2 fouls. Excuse me. Yeah, 6 players with 2 fouls. Rude has 2. Alcina has 2. Chorus has 2. Abraham has 2. And Vila and Chatfield all have 2 personal fouls. Nearly 20 total team fouls. And Davis, what are you thinking right now with all of these fouls?
Well, I'm just impressed with Washington State. They're up 20, and they've had almost 20 fouls. So the fact that all their players should be on the bench right now, but yet they still have a 20-point lead. And there's some of those plays where they come out at the top of the key and, like, they just blast into the Pacific Tigers. And if they would just have a little more finesse to them, they're just ball, which is probably helping them be up by 20. Pacific on the offensive side with how physical Washington State is, but rarely do you see a team foul this much and be up by 20 points. They're almost to the half-century mark, and there's still almost 5 minutes left in the third quarter. So pretty impressive stuff, although at some point you got to stop fouling.
Right, the Cougs right now scoring well, and I guess, I don't know, it doesn't have to be pretty. You just have to get it done, and that's kind of what the Cougs have been. Kind of an ugly performance on the defensive end, but it doesn't matter. They're up by 20 right now. It's a 48-28 game. We are just past the halfway point in this third quarter. We're going to take a short break with you. You're listening to more WCC tournament basketball here in Las Vegas, Nevada, here on KUGR. (48-28), Cougs leading by 20. And if you're watching the game, it's kind of been a defensive struggle, to say the least, as Ward will go to the free throw line as the Cougs have been fouling. Ward's first one will fall in. But yeah, the Cougs have been struggling on the defensive end, but offensively, they have 20 more points in the paint than Pacific does, and they are up by 18 right now, but was 20 as Ward will hit her second free throw. The Cougs right now extremely successful when it comes to offensive basketball. Vila, a beautiful dot to Rude, nearly loses it though. Gives it right back to her, making something happen. Dumps it right back to Rude, and one. A beautiful finish by Rude. Found her on the cut, finishes with the left hand. Officials call a block, and she will have an opportunity for the three-point play. Old-fashioned basketball. Rude will go to the line.
So operating that pick and roll, and Vila seeing the floor really well, whether it's Rude or Colville, they've been getting easy looks.
Misses the free throw hard as it rattles off the backboard. Now it's Bartholomew, and she will hit a bucket. She's been pretty quiet tonight. That is just her third point of the game. She's the leading scorer for the Tigers, averaging just a little over 13. But that's just her third, as Vila, the leading scorer for the Cougs, has 16. Chorus now gives it to Vila. Looks for Root again on the roll. Doesn't use it. Floater. Right iron, no good. Too strong. End up with Ward and the Tigers. Cougs right now leading by 18. We're under 4 minutes in this third. Bartholomew fouled by Rude, and now she will have, that should be her third personal. Bartholomew will go to the line. As specific, they're 3 of 3. As Lauren Glazier, the other Washingtonian, will check in for Rude. They'll high five. And Glazier right now, the only player right now, I believe, on Washington State to have significant minutes and no fouls. She's got 0, and hopefully I didn't say something too early, and she might rack a few as well, as Bartholomew will knock in the first, trying to cut down this Cougar lead. Cougs have been up by as much as 20, 17, and that will be 16 they'll be up by, as Bartholomew is now heated up for Pacific. It's kind of been all her just recently. She has 5. 50-34, 3:45 left in the third. Cougs leading. Chatfield's calling for a travel. She got it on the right corner, drove baseline, but took that step before she put the basketball on the ground. Cannot take that step first. Got to put the ball onto the wood, and then you can make your move. Calling for a travel, and that'll be a turnover for the Cougs. It's going to be Lowry. She's going to drive right to the cup, but miss an easy layup. That should have been a gimme. Doesn't matter, though. Abraham with the rebound will advance it to Chatfield. Pulling it out to set up the offense. Gives it to Glazier on top of the key. Playing some valuable minutes as the Cougs are in this foul trouble. Chatfield thought about Glazier. Glazier will finally end up, just grabs it with one hand. There's 8 on the shot clock. Chatfield's got to do something. Tries to dump it into Glazier, won't go. It's going to be a rebound by Bartholomew. And it's going to be another foul on Chatfield. She kind of just stood there as Bartholomew just kind of flew out of bounds. And I'll be honest, I don't know how that was called for contact. Chatfield just stood there, and Bartholomew was just kind of falling out of bounds. And it doesn't matter, as the Cougs are over the 5-limit mark. Chatfield will sit. Bartholomew will go back to the charity stripe and shoot another 2. And keeping the game somewhat alive for the Tigers. Now what was 20 is now a 15-point lead for the Cougs. Now the Cougs still 4 or 5 from the field offensively. But now all of a sudden it's a 14-point game when the Cougs were leading by 20. Kind of been a long third quarter. Still 3 minutes left. A heave of a pass by Vila. Abraham, triple, knocks it down. Beautiful shot by Charlotte Abraham. On the other end, a missed 3 by Minderman. There's going to be a whistle, and that's another foul. Oh, my goodness. And it's on Lauren Glazier. I spoke way too soon. That's going to be her first personal. Bartholomew will go back to the line. This is her third trip to the stripe, and she had 0. Now she has 8 with the first made on that one. She's averaging 13. Has gotten all of her points here in this third quarter. It's been silent in the first half. She's got 9. Perfect from the stripe. Glazier to bring up the rock. The 6'2" big. And she's going to turn over the basketball. Gave it to Alcina in the backcourt. The ball was behind her, and all of a sudden, the Cougs are kind of on their heels. Rude will check back in. Glazier to sit down, and the Cougs got to get their morale back. They're up by 15 still. Minderman to inbound. Gives it to Nesserdorf. Looking for a screen by Bartholomew. Will use it by her. Thought about the roll. Won't give it to her. We'll give it to her now in the post. And now all of a sudden, Bartholomew has 11. Winner Bartholomew, the Nigerian native, just has 11. She's averaging 13. The Cougs are up by 13. We're nearing the 2-minute mark in this third quarter. A long, gritty third quarter for the Cougs. Vila's got to make something happen. She's going to shoot a fadeaway. Tough bucket. Puns it through. A beautiful fadeaway jumper for Vila. Cougs are back up by 15. A heave of a pass to Ward. Lowry. She'll miss a three. Bartholomew the rebound. She has 13. It's been nothing but her for the Tigers as the Cougs will stay up by 13. But the Tigers cut it down a little bit from what was a 20-point lead. They're 5 of their last 7 from the field. Vila, screen by Rude. Thought about using her, and it's Bartholomew on the steal. Blocked pass that was intended for Rude. Now it's Lowry on the other end. The jumper's no good. A good rebound by Rude, and she's getting hacked. Finally gets a whistle. She was smothered by Ward and Lowry, both of them smothering Malia Rude. Finally, the 4th team foul for Pacific. Every whistle kind of seems like it is Washington State. And it's just been kind of a frenzy of a quarter. Foul here, foul there, running and gunning. Alcina will end up with it for the Cougs. It's batted away. Ward got a hand on it. Stayed Cougar basketball on the sideline nearest to the Cougar bench.
And Etheridge asking the offense to slow it down a little bit. They're playing way out of their pace and allowing Pacific to get some steals and get back into this game.
Abraham to end up with it to Vila. Right to the cup. Another bucket at 20. A great performance by Vila. Cougs still up by 15. Nesterdorf misses a shot. Good rebound by Abraham. And they're running. Abraham just bringing it back. Nearly loses it. She'll get the basketball to Alcina. Back to Vila. And again, calm down the offense. We're under a minute here into the third quarter. Cougs up by 15. Vila, Alcina in the corner. Thought about a three. Doesn't do it. 10 on the timer. They got to get going. A screen by Corres for Vila. Her shot, no good. Rebound by Ward. Her and Abraham crashed into each other. They look to be okay for the offensive rebound. Ward got it, but there was a whistle, and there's going to be a foul on the ground. Should be on Pacific. Stay Cougar basketball. Actually, Abraham will go to the line now, as that is the 15th foul for the Tigers. Charlotte Abraham will shoot 2. She just has 3 tonight, 1 triple. It's been kind of silent in the last 2 games. Free throw rattles home. Extends the Cougar lead to 16. 44 seconds left in this third quarter. The second is identical to the first. Bartholomew will check out. She had a phenomenal third quarter, matches her season average at 13 points exactly. Tigers right now trying to make a run for it. For both of these teams, it is win or go home. You're not looking at other tournaments at this point in your season. The Tigers, it's going to be Minderman, a triple as she was wide open from the left corner. Cuts the lead down to 14. There's about a second differential from the game in shot clock, and shot clock is turned off. It's identical now. Vila, mano-a-mano of Lowry. She thought about stealing it, doesn't have to. Now she's going to go with 10 seconds left. Vila thought about a triple, going right to the rack, and it rattles out. Rude the rebound. That's no good either. And the buzzer will off as Jurgensen ended up with it for the Tigers and heaped up a half-court shot. A frenzy of a third quarter, a up-and-down third quarter, but still a comfortable lead. Up 14-55. Davis, what do you think about that crazy quarter of basketball for the Cougs?
Well, a good job staying with it. They gave up that run for Pacific. They were up by over 20 points. It got cut down into a reasonable margin for Pacific. And then that last three-pointer from Minderman, they were shooting just 7% from the three-point line. 1 of 14 up until that three-pointer from Minderman to make it the 59-45 lead for Washington State going into the fourth. But if Pacific starts to heat up from the three-point line, it could get dangerous for Washington State. As we saw, Bartholomew can go on a run, and then if they start hitting their three-pointers, it could get dangerous. But Washington State playing great basketball so far and then doing a great job at that end of the quarter to continue to build their lead. They're only up 14, but so far so good, and they got one more quarter to pull it off.
Yeah, it's just about getting it finished. It doesn't matter what it looked like, if it's up by 20, up by 15, or up by 1. You just want to win the basketball game. We're going to take a short break here as we will get underway to the last quarter of basketball here. You're listening to the Washington State women's game here at the WCC tournament. You're listening to more basketball here on KUGR. Right back at you with more Cougar basketball. It's a 59-45 game here as we get underway for the fourth quarter of action here in the Orleans Arena here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Josiah Frank with Davis Hagen here. The Cougs right now are trying to win so they don't go back home to Pullman and they can stay in the sunny Nevada State for a little bit longer, at least another day. Pacific to inbound. Cougs leading right now by 14. They were leading by as much as 20. It's going to be Nesterdorf bringing it up for the Tigers. They've got to get something going if they want to stay in this game, or it could be over. The Cougs go on another big run like they did in the first half. It's going to be Bartholomew. Thought about posting up. A kick out over to Minderman. She misses the three, but guess who on the rebound? Bartholomew. And now it's going to be Nesterdorf. The triple, and that will rattle home for her. It's an 11-point lead. And the Cougs really need to settle and eat up the clock. Scoring vital if they want to win this basketball game. Course hands it back off to Vila. Uses a screen by Root. Gives it to Course. Wide open for the triple. And that one will fall. A huge shot by Keandra Course. She'll knock down a three. Another 13-point performance. She had 12 yesterday. Door. That's going to be Ward making a great move, splitting defenders, finishing with the right hand, cutting that lead down back to 12. Vila for the Cougs. Taking her time, eating up of that clock is valuable. She's on the right wing, gives it back to Chorus. Not about Rude, doesn't do it. She'll just go right to the rack. Finishes beautifully with the right hand, kisses the glass for an easy layup. Cougs leading by 14. 8:30 left in this final quarter. Win or go home for both teams. Ward. Back to Nesterdorf. Looking at Bartholomew. Doesn't use it. A beautiful dot to Ward. She's going to miss an easy lay. Gets her own rebound. Puts it back up. And it will fall. That was a dot by Nesterdorf. And that will finish. The Cougs still up by 12. We're under 8. Vila, bounce pass to Chorus. Gives it right back to her. Loses the basketball. A bad turnover for the Cougs. Every possession vital.
And it's too far out in front of Vila. She tried to track it down, but it was almost out of bounds by the time she got a fingertip to it.
Nesterov to dribble it up for Pacific, and nearly stolen away by Marta Alcina. We'll stay with Pacific. Got to be careful gambling though over at loose balls. You almost don't want to do it with this game now being a little closer than it was. Just a 12-point lead for Washington State, led by as many as 20. Now it's going to be Ward. Thought about a three, pulls it out, gives it to Minderman. She can't decide what to do with it. It's going to be entered into Ward in the post, guarded by Horace. Called for the foul. She'll go to the stripe. It rattled out. The ball thought about going in, but fell out instead. So she'll shoot 2 instead of what would have been 1 or the 3-point advantage. Ward, the Houston native and the leading rebounder for the Tigers, will miss yet another free throw. She's got 15 right now, the leading scorer for the Tigers. Have missed a few crucial free throws. The second will go home. That'll be her 16th point. Rude to inbound. Vila to bring up the rock. Behind the back move. Gives it over to Chorus. To Rude. Fakes the triple. Hand off Chorus. Three's off the mark. Too strong. And it's going to be, nearly stolen away by Alcina. And a bad miscall as Vila was hit hard. And Minderman hits the triple as the Cougs were kind of mixed matched with how many players were on the opposite end of the court. They had numbers and threw up a wide open three. That was Sophia Minderman hitting that triple for the Tigers. Now all of a sudden, Pacific is within 10. It's an 8-point game, and the bench and fans are fired up for Pacific. 6:48 left. Vila gets the ball, nearly loses it. Who's got numbers? A heave to Abraham, triple, they need it. It falls. What a bucket by Charlotte Abraham. A much-needed triple to keep the Cougs lead over 10. It's an 11-point game. Nesterdorf over to Bartholomew. Guarded by Ruth. The fadeaway, no good. They need a rebound. And it's going to be saved by Pacific. It's going to be Lowry, no good. A fight for the rebound. Ward ends up with it and saves yet another rebound. 18 on the shot. We're nearing 6. Screen coming by Bartholomew. Nesterdorf. The jumper, and it's good. Cuts it back down to 9. Chatfield check back into the game. Bringing up the rock. The Cougs need to slow down. They want to stop this momentum from Pacific. Chatfield to Chorus. To Rue, top of the key. Rue nearly loses the handoff to Vila. Behind the back dot from Vila. The assist is no good as Rue misses the three-pointer. Going to be rebounded by Pacific. Nearly a missed double dribble as Nesterdorf picked it up. Looked like she put it back down on the wood again. No call from the official. Play still continues. We're nearing 5 minutes. Lowry misses the bucket, but yet another foul. She is fouled. Will go to the line. Will shoot 2. And what should have been maybe one opportunity. It has been a hectic series of play this third quarter and now half of the fourth. Davis, what are you seeing here? You got a show for free.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting game. Colville coming back in the game. She's got 4 fouls, and Chatfield on that play came over on the help side and was just ever so slightly moving and didn't get the charge that she was hoping for. But she did a good job working over. She got screened pretty hard on the backside and then came over at the last second to try to draw the charge, but she couldn't do it. Washington State's got to be able to hang on to this thing.
They have to do indeed. Chatfield's got 4. Colville's got 4. As the second free throw goes home, another call. And I don't know if that's Abraham. I don't know if that's Colville. I don't know if it's Colville. She's gone. No, but it's like Abraham. And she is definitely trying to talk to the official. Yet another foul. And Keandra Chorus will take a breather as Marta Alcina will check in. Tons of whistles. After that second free throw, foul on the box out, will now stay with Pacific again. It's a 7-point basketball game. Another foul. Abraham now called for another, and the Cougs can't stop fouling. Abraham has 4.
That's 3 players with 4 fouls. Abraham, Chatfield, and Koval all have 4. And that time, Abraham just launched at her in the corner. You can tell that the Cougs are frustrated.
Extremely frustrated. Nesterdorf on the left wing. Pacific's down by 7. The Cougs have to hold on. Pacific airballs. Airball by Nesterdorf. Ends with Vila, and they need to slow down. Still 5 minutes in this game as 3 players with 4 personals. Chatfield will end up with it for the Cougs. Taking her time, just passing it around the arc, waiting until around 10 seconds. Now they've got to go. Marta Alcina, reverse layup. What a bucket. A great play for her. That's her first bucket and first shot of the game for Marta Alcina. Beautiful bucket. 4.5 minutes. Cougs up by 9. Bartholomew, kick out. Lowry, triple, no good. Rebound hit off the iron. No one touched it. And it's going to be Cougar basketball. And finally a timeout. It's almost like a action movie or something like that. Going back and forth. Just kind of crazy stuff kind of happening here. The Cougs are up by 20. They're up by 9. But it seems a lot closer than that. As the foul count, we are just seconds away of someone, getting out of the remainder of this game.
Yeah, 3 players with 4 fouls, and the rest of them aren't out of the woods because they've all got 2 or 3 fouls, and you just keep hacking away. And now Pacific, the next foul will go to the free throw line for points. And we talked about that at the start of the half, where not having your players is more important than putting them at the free throw line. But at this point, it's both. Now that they've got 4 fouls, if you foul and you're one of those 3 Koval with those 4 fouls, you foul somebody, you're out of the game. And so it's kind of a double damage at this point, and you really can't afford to blow this lead. You're up by over 20 points if you're Washington State, and all of a sudden Pacific starts to heat up. And they're shooting now 4 of 20 from the three-point line, just 20%. So if they can hit any resemblance of three-pointers here in the last 4:25, they're going to storm back and take this thing. But Washington State has to be able to not get frustrated. They've been kind of angry at the officials all afternoon because they're getting the whistles against them, but yet they are crashing into the Pacific Tigers. You cannot allow that to boil over and then continue to make those fouls happen.
Yeah, it could get very scary for Washington State if they do not stop Pacific, and if they need to quit fouling. It really is that simple. There's not other words really to say that. If the Cougs continue the foul, it could get terrifying for them. As they had a very commanding lead, but this 9-point lead feels very unsafe with 4.5 minutes left into this fourth quarter. We're going to take just a short, quick break. You're listening to more basketball here on KUGR. (69-60), Washington State in favor right now. as the Cougs, up by as much as 20, are holding on to their 9-point lead, but it's a lot closer with 3 Cougar players with 4 personals. We still have 4.5 minutes left of this fourth quarter. Can the Cougs finish it off and continue to move on here in Las Vegas? Chatfield now to inbound. It is Cougar basketball to get out of the media timeout. Chatfield motioning offense. Colville back into the game. She's got 4. Chatfield's got 4. And Abraham is 4. And that's a triple for Abraham. It's no good, but it is tipped away from Pacific. Looks to be Nesterdorf that tipped it out of bounds. Will stay Cougar basketball. Valuable possessions for both teams. Cannot turn over the basketball. Colville to grab it. She's got to be careful. Gives it to Alcina. Now it's Vila right wing. Abraham to set the pick. Looks at the roll. Gives it to the roll. Pound dribble. Finish. No call. And Colville's out. And there is a foul. An over the back call. And that is not the call you want to see. Colville is out by just going out of the basketball. Colville will sit. That will be 5 with an over and back call, and I don't know about that call, if I'm being honest.
That's one of the weirdest over and back calls I've seen. She was kind of lurching back like you do the bridge in gymnastics class. You go back to try to get the rebound. Yes, she was over the back because she's much taller than Lowry, but there was not a whole lot of contact, not enough to be the 5th personal foul in the final 3:53 of the second round of the tournament. And now it's up to everybody else.
Yeah, and Etheridge is irate, rightfully so, as Colville did not have a huge stat sheet. She's fouled out with 5 points, 2 total rebounds, and an assist with 5 fouls. And I guess ball doesn't lie as Lowry will miss the first. But yeah, I feel like when you were just taller than a player, is it really over the back if there's no contact? Or are you just going up for a rebound? So definitely not the best call in a awfully timed situation, as Colville one of many in foul trouble. She'll have to sit for the rest of the game and watch from the bench as Lowry will put in her second. It's an 8-point game. We're under 4 minutes in this fourth. Chatfield to Vila. Uses a screen by Root. She's wide open on the roll. And it's going to be Abraham, and she loses the basketball. She wanted to fight for the loose ball, but didn't want to get called for the foul. And players are playing scared for Washington State. Cougs are up by 8. We're nearing the 3.5-minute mark. It's going to be Nesterdorf, mano y mano Alcina off of Rude's foot will stay Tiger basketball.
You brought up that good point of Abraham will normally charge in to try to grab that ball, and you can see her pull her hands back because if she reaches in at all, she's gone.
And it's that quick. Every minute, every second valuable. 3:20 now left. Cougs up 69-61. Tigers passing around the rock, and it's an offensive foul. Much needed for Washington State. A beautiful call. It's going to be Bartholomew that was charged with it. A much needed call for the Cougs. Got nervous when you hear the whistle blown, but doesn't matter. Chatfield to inbound to Alcina. 3-minute mark. Cougs need to take their time. Rude to get Vila to set a screen for her. Sets it. Hands it off to Chatfield. Thought about a shot. Doesn't do it. Trying to find a better one for the Cougs. Alcina, 7 on the timer. Chatfield looking 4 on the timer. Vila's got to go. 1 on the timer. No good. Great rebound by Malia Rude. And she is fouled on the putback. She'll go to the stripe in a much-needed second chance opportunity for Washington State after Vila had to just throw up whatever with 1 second left on the shot clock.
Rebound 7 for Rude, and none bigger than that one right there, keeping the possession alive and getting fouled, going to the free throw line. Big play for 55 in gray.
The gamer from Chiawana, though, misses her first. One would be great. Putting the Cougs up by 3 possessions. The second one is also no good. Rattles both. And now it could still be even closer. 2.5 minutes left of this game. Win or go home for both teams. And Pacific loses the basketball. It was Minderman trying to catch a pass from Nesterdorf. She bobbles it and loses it out of bounds on the sideline closest to their bench, right in front of head coach Bradley Smart. Now it's Washington State. Chatfield was just hitting the ribs and no one was seen. Gives it to Alcina. Heave cross court to Vila, nearly loses it. We're near the 2-minute mark. Now it's Vila backing it out and taking time off the clock. Now Vila's going to go. 7 on the shot. Working her way to the cup. Tough bucket. A beautiful finish by Eleonora Vila. She's got over 20. That's her 22 points of the game. Pacific's got to go now. They're under 2. Nesterdorf trying to make anything happen. Now it's Lowry going right to the cup. 5-foot jumper, no good. A beautiful rebound by Malia Rude. That's her 8th board of the game. Now it's Abraham. Bounce pass to Vila. Right to the cup. No good. Another rebound by Rude. Kick out Alcina. They got to take their time. We're under 1.5 minutes. Gives it to Rude. Right back to Chatfield now. And Chatfield is fouled. Takes a breather as this place was kind of rocking on both ends. The Cougs are up by 10. It's a 71-61 ball game. 1:21 left into the fourth.
Pacific hasn't scored in the last 2.5 minutes either, and they desperately need a bucket.
Alcina to inbound. Under 1.5 minutes of this game. Chatfield spinning right back to the bucket. She's going to be found yet again. It's going to be on the ground, though, before the shot. Pacific right now with 14 fouls as they're down by 10 with 1:18. If they want to have any life left, they've got to stop the Cougs here. It's going to be Abraham, corner 3, and that's a bullseye right in Lowry's eyeball. Nesterdorf on the other end will match her. A pair of threes. 3 by Abraham, and Nesterdorf will quiet the crowd immediately within 5 or 6 seconds. Puts in another triple just to keep it alive. It's a 10-point game, 1 minute and 7 seconds left into this fourth quarter. Winner go home for both teams. We got to entertain the game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if this is the first game of day 1 for us, day 2 of the tournament, we've got all the way up until Tuesday filled with basketball. This is going to be a fantastic tournament on both the women's and the men's side. But what a game so far. Washington State well over their average in scoring. They average 62.5 on the season, which is 9th in the conference. They've got 74 points right now, still a minute and change to go. And Josiah, you flash way back into early in this game, and Pacific's coaching staff got that technical foul. It was 2 free points for the Cougars. It's a 10-point game right now. It could be 8, but instead it's 10. So that's 2 points to factor in. If Pacific ends up losing by 1 or 2 possessions, that's something to look back on. And in general, that's a long time ago, yes, but every point has mattered in this game. And you can see that Pacific is just so close to breaking through the ceiling, and Washington State only has to hold on for another minute.
Yeah, and I really think every possession is just so crucial and valuable in any game, but especially here in a conference tournament, especially in March, anything can happen. And those 2 free throws could have cost them the game. And yes, they are up by 10 right now. Washington State still leading as we're just 1 minute and 7 seconds left of the game. But, man, you would hate to have your coaching staff kind of ruin it for the players on the court. You know, that's the stuff that you can control is emotions and how much, you know, you're chirping to officials. You have to really be careful when to pick and choose those battles. And a technical foul, you got to say a lot, you know, to be able to get called for free throws. And it definitely could have been a lot shorter. And if the Cougs hit another bucket or so, it could be all she wrote. We're going to take a short break, finish out with the last minute. More fourth quarter basketball here for the women's team of Washington State. You're listening to KGR, the student voice of the Blues. Washington State up by 10, a minute and 7 seconds left in this fourth quarter of play. We're in the second round of the WCC Women's Basketball Championship here in the Orleans Arena. And the Cougs right now just trying to keep that lead and extend and survive. Survive and advance. Chatfield will end up with the pass. She's fouled, no call, ball stolen away, but it'll stay Washington State as it was bobbled away. But I think there was a lot of contact. No whistle. A lot of contact, but Lowry will end up losing the ball as she crashes into the Washington State bench. Just a minute and 3 seconds left of this game. Abraham trying to take her time. Finally called for a whistle as she was hounded by Minderman. Now finally the Cougs are in bonus. Abraham will go to the stripe to shoot 1-and-1 bonus free throws. Abraham first, she will knock down. She's perfect from the line today and continues. The second will also fall. Washington State up by 12. We're under a minute. Pacific, it's 9-1-1 emergency for them. Nessador misses a layup. Gets it back after a Ward rebound. Ward just trying to go up to the cup. Throws up anything and gets the and one call. She finishes beautifully with the left hand. She'll go and shoot a free throw now. Trying to keep it within a couple possessions. But it's getting closer and closer to over, hopefully, for the Cougs. Only 46 seconds left as Chorus will check into the ball game. Ward will shoot one.
This is the 11th free throw of the game for Ward. She's 7 of 10 so far. She's got 18 points to lead the way for Pacific. She's trying her best to keep them in it, but not a lot of time left and kind of a big deficit for the Tigers.
That is her 19th point as she hits the free throw on the and one opportunity. It's now a 9-point game, still a 3-score possession. We're going to take another break as we have a quick 30-second timeout. You're listening to KUGR. Cougs leading by 9, 46 seconds left into this second round of the West Coast Conference Championship. The winner of this second round game will play tomorrow at the identical time at noon, as Alcina will throw it into Rude. They will play tomorrow at noon against number 5, Portland, who's kind of struggled this season in years past, where they're usually a top 3 seeded opponent in the W. Foul. She'll go to the line for Pacific. This miss keeps a little bit of life for the Tigers. She knocks down another. That should seal the deal after probably some more fouls. But Rude does miss her second. That's 4 straight misses from Rude on the line. Nessador trying to make something happen. He finishes to the lane. Now makes it a little interesting. It's a 7-point game. Chatfield's foul. She got the inbound of the basketball. She'll go to the stripe and shoot free throws. Found hard. If she can finish 1 or 2, that should also seal the deal.
Really good free throw shooter, Chatfield, 88.6% on the season. She's made 31 coming into this game. Got to be able to knock these down.
Chatfield shooting 1 of 1. Her first will go home. Cougs now go up by 8. It's a 77-69 ball game. Chatfield looking for a second. The Cougs keep on winning if everything continues to work out. We're nearing 30 seconds. And a last chance opportunity. They need a 3. Ward thought about it. She'll just drive to the cup instead. Spin move, finish with the left hand. Tries to keep the Tigers alive. They're still down by 7. Chatfield's found again a pair of free throws, and that should end it. 21 seconds left in this fourth quarter. The Cougs right now, if with this win after the last 20 seconds, would play Portland tomorrow at noon, and then with another win would play Oregon State, who's ranked 4th, and then after that would play the number 1 seed if the Cougs got all the way to the semifinals. And the beautiful thing about the WCC is Chatfield hits her first, that the number 1 and number 2 seed, they get buys until the semifinals. They don't have to show up to Vegas until March the 9th or presumably the day before. Until that Monday, and there's a lane violation on Chatfield. And her second free throw's not going to count. That might have been the second or third lane violation on the shooter today. You don't see that a ton, especially at the D1 level, lane violations, especially from the shooter. But regardless, to say the Cougs are still leading by 8. And yeah, if they had made it, if they can make it all the way to the semifinals, they will play number 1 ranked LMU, which had a very good year. But really, the WCC on the women's side, we can talk about it a little bit, was really kind of a toss-up for the last kind of 4 spots. Oregon State was kind of near that top at one point. Santa Clara was at the top at one point. Gonzaga was at the top at one point. LMU kind of snuck in there. A lot of teams were either tied or just a win or two from that conference seeding, and LMU ended up sneaking out with it. But all these teams, especially the top 4, they could all be very successful and definitely go home with it. But if Washington State keeps winning, who knows what could happen. Pacific to inbound, and they got to make something going. Ward trying to get something going. 18 seconds. A heave, a great shot by Minderman. Her triple will fall through, and now it's a 5-point game. 15 seconds left. Chatfield's fouled it again. Now it's 14 seconds. Chatfield still needs to hit free throws because misses could keep the Tigers still alive. A 5-point game is a lot different than 7, 8, or 9. Now it's just a 2-possession game unless Chatfield hits both, would make it 3.
And 14.3 on the clock. That's a lot of time to be able to do some damage if you're Pacific. But Chatfield, one of the best free throw shooters on the team, has to have ice in her veins in these last couple of shots.
The New Zealand native, the first, is front iron, no good. There's still life for Pacific. And it looks like head coach Bradley Smart might call a timeout after the make or miss for Chatfield. It's double bonus. The second is good. Makes it a 6-point game. A much harder 2-point possession for Pacific. They need 2 threes to tie, or an and 1 opportunity and maybe a 3 on the other end. But they need to go. They need to go quick. There's 14 seconds left, and in basketball, anything can happen. And in March, really anything can happen. We were here last year. Oregon State went on a buzzer beater against Gonzaga in the semifinals off a buzzer beater, and that was a very close game. We kind of walked in and saw an amazing shot. That play was on SportsCenter for like the next couple of days after that. Oregon State ended up winning the entire tournament as a 6th seed. So it's not impossible. Anything can happen here in March. And so Pacific definitely not out of it by any means. Some missed free throws keeps life alive. And the Cougs just playing so well offensively, it's an 80-74 game that thankfully it's continued to work as the Cougs are still up by 6. But all those fouls, gosh, if you get any other team in there, it might not look how the Cougs are looking right now.
And speaking of fouls, Chatfield has 4. And if you're Pacific, I would go right at Chatfield to try to foul her out. You've got to be ready if you're Chatfield to not pick up a foul and get out of the game. You're the team's best free throw shooter on the floor right now. She's around 89%. The drop-off is around 15 to 20% if she gets out of this game.
Inbounded. Pacific's got to go. Handoff again to Minderman. Air ball no good. And now the Cougs just have to inbound successfully. .8 seconds left on the game clock. Shot clock has been turned off. And Jean Chu will check into the game for the first time tonight. The Taiwanese guard. We'll see a little bit of action here. Balanchik to inbound to Chatfield successfully. She's fouled. 7.5 seconds left. Still a little chunk of time. Chatfield's got to just hit 1 or 2, and that should put the nails in the coffin. Vila sat down. She had 22. A great performance by her. Nothing unusual, though, if you've been tuning into women's Washington State basketball. It's kind of been the Vila show, as she, again, is a second-team All-WCC honored guard, as Chatfield hits her first, extends the lead to 7. 7.5 seconds left in the fourth. 11 points for Kenzie Chatfield. 12 now with the second free throw good, and that should do it. 5 seconds left. See if Pacific can make anything happen. And the last bucket will fall through, but it doesn't matter anyway. That was Nesterdorf on the finish. It's an 82-76 win, and Washington State will survive and yet advance. And we'll move on tomorrow to play at number 5 seeded Portland here again for the WCC championship for the third round. Davis, impression of a frenzy of a game, a crazy of a game, a lot of drama, but regardless, it might have been ugly, but the Cougs got it done. What were your thoughts of that basketball game?
Extremely high scoring. Washington State's offense was awesome to watch in this game. And obviously, Vila with the 22 points. But how about Rude stepping up for Colville? She fouls out of this game. Rude ends up with a tremendous stat line. I think she ended up with 9 rebounds. And she was just a player that you can count on in those moments to pick up the rebounds. Rude finishes with 9 points, 9 rebounds. And she was a huge factor down the stretch. Around the 3:53 mark is when Colville fouled out of the game. It was 69-60 at that point, and Pacific had a couple chances to snag some defensive rebounds and get stops, but Rude was right there to pick up offensive rebounds time and time again. She was so valuable for this team coming off the bench in this game. But overall, for Washington State, you survive a scare in this game. You're up over 20 points in the second half, and then you nearly let that slip away. You only end up winning by 6 points. And now you got to play a Portland team who knocked you out last year in the semifinals. This time you're playing them in the third round. So a lot more work to do for Washington State, but so far so good. 2 games in 2 days, and they look to add a third tomorrow.
We will see what happens, but anything can happen here at March. And if you keep on winning, it's about momentum. Now the Cougs, that was 3 in a row, but now that is 4 straight wins for Washington State, 2 of them being in Las Vegas. So it looks like the sun, maybe some vitamin D is working. I don't know. We're kind of indoors, but, a little more sunshine than it's been in Pullman. It's been kind of snowy the last few weeks and a lot of cold and rain. But regardless, to say the Cougs are moving on, they're surviving in advance. They just placed the sticker on the bracket, and they're celebrating over there. And they will stay in Vegas yet another day. They'll play Portland tomorrow. We'll be here again calling the exact same time again at noon. And we'll be calling a couple more games today. So listen out for us. We'll be calling the next game at 2:30. But, yes, it was a great win for Washington State. We're going to be back at you with tons of more basketball here in the Orleans Arena. Josiah Frank with Davis Hagen. We're saying farewell in so long and cannot wait to call more Cougar basketball today and tomorrow. You're listening to Cougar Basketball here on KUGR.